What's up, guys? It's your host Spartanic Arts DxD back with another high school DxD related video. And today we have What If Issei Was Neglected and Became OP Part 4. If at all, if we could possibly hit 1,000 likes on this video, that'd be absolutely amazing. So go ahead and hit the like button if you're in the premiere right now or just in general. And if you guys want to know exactly when I upload / my upload schedule, click the little blue button right next to the subscribe button, aka a membership button. That'll be the first link down in the description below. Thank you so much for all the support. It's been absolutely crazy. Still, even though your boy took a little bit of a break, which really wasn't my fault, I had to start up school and track, and I had to get used to it and master the schedule a little bit. So now I know when I can record and when I can't. So whenever I have some free time, I'll do it. But otherwise, I'm doing some homework or I'm training. So just be prepared. I'll probably upload, once again, twice a week. So just be prepared for that. Thank you so much for the support, guys. It's really do appreciate it. Go subscribe to my second channel, Popowski, and follow DxD down in the description below. And without further ado, let's go and thank our balance breakers. Rob the King, Lachlan Yates, Atomic Warlord 58, Sad Voiles, Aunt Lewis, The Beast YT3, Colex, Joe Baldwin, Madara Uchiha, Refik 135, Zapper 363, Keep Saying 21, Blue Lightning, Lewis Bermooz, Hellhound, Viewer Wolf #2347, Sanitates, Night Ammo, Zkey 2000, The J-Boys, The PS Gamer, XOR X108, Mr. Wolf, Legendary Saiyan 98, Jordan Pachow, Mazaku, Doctor _MLG_ is the bomb, Asimodus, Grimfire Shot Gamer, That Round Guy, Zero Fusion, Responder, God Said Why, and Chaotic Raven. Thank you so much for becoming a balance breaker. And without any other further ado, let's go ahead and get into part 4. Picking back up where we left off, Sire Org, though, knew better. As the one who also trains their body to the extreme, he could tell that even though his posture was laid back and uncaring, Issei was coiled up, like a snake waiting to sink his fangs into his prey. Sire Org felt his grin split his face as he decided to get this match underway. With speed that was untraceable to most, making it look like he vanished from the spot, Sire Org flanked Issei, cocked his hand into a fist and threw a powerful, precise jab at the right side of his head. The entire motion was less than a second, and only a select few in the audience could even follow the entire movement. To the rest, it looked like Sire Org blurred out of existence. When time finally caught up, it looked like a vicious haymaker was about to connect with his face. Issei, with his reflexes that bordered on inhumane, reached up and caught the punch just a few inches away from his face, creating a shockwave that almost visibly spread through the air. And he also did so without changing expression or moving his eyes to follow the movement. Sire Org was a little put out on this preemptive strike, was stopped so effortlessly by Issei. Issei, while externally looking impassive and uncaring, internally he was squealing like a little fanboy while doing a little dance in his head. Damn, I look so fucking badass right now. I've always wanted to do something like that. It's like Aizen from Bleach, stopping Ichigo with a single finger. I wonder how many ladies saw that and started fangirling over my awesomeness. Thank the stars I mastered Kenobusho Koki Haki. If not, it would probably be picking my teeth to the floor right now. Though Issei and coiled viper, as Sire Org was still a bit of dazed at having his punch, the same punch that destroyed the spirits of many high-class devils, stopped so easily. Issei retaliated with a powerful and perfectly executed roundhouse kick to the head and sent Sire Org skidding back. As Sire Org regained his bearings, he looked back up to see Issei still having his left leg outstretched from the kick, and he held it there for a while, before using his right foot as the fulcrum and calmly bringing his leg back down to the original position he had before launching the kick. Looking majorly cool whilst doing so, Sire Org felt something on the side of his mouth and used the back of his hands to wipe it off. As he looked at the substance, he realized it was blood. You could hear a pin drop as the stadium was engulfed in silence, with many varying reactions from shock, disbelief, excitement, and strangely arousal. Don't ask about the last one. The shocking part wasn't that he just caught a lightning-quick punch from Sire Org, but that he did so without taking any damage, as his punches were known to monstrously destructive. What they didn't know again was that Issei coated his palm with a thin layer of Bento Shoko Haki to absorb the impact. While the spectators remained oblivious to this, what they did know was that they were going to be in for one hell of a fight. The cheers rang on through the arena as they encouraged to put on a show. As Issei looked at the face of Sire Org, the left side of his mouth slowly lifted into a smirk. as almost taunting and challenging one. So think like Majin Vegeta's smile. An expression that Cyborg returned, and kind of before all posturing came as the end, as both competitors coiled up before bursting into action and meeting each other in the middle of the field. Punches and kicks were flying hard and fast from both sides, as every action was expertly blocked or deflected by one another in one ways that sent shockwaves vibrating through the air. If Cyborg threw a punch, Issei deflected it nimbly before retaliating with a kick of his own that would be dodged by Cyborg before flinging another punch in his direction, which continued the cycle for a few minutes. They were still significantly holding back, as this was more of a warm-up and a means to feel each other out. After continuing their exchange for a few minutes, Cyborg decided to up the ante as he threw a brutal body shot at Issei, who tanked the hit with a slight twitch in his expression, indicating his discomfort before retaliating with vicious haymaker to the face, which disoriented Cyborg, but not enough for Issei to capitalize on, as Cyborg came back at him with a more gutso. As the restraints fell away from more shots connected, as both fighters were concerned with dealing damage to the opponent than their own defense. Fists and feet were flying through the air with deadly accuracy, while Cyborg relied more on his upper body strength and his fist. Issei favored his legs more, as he relied on a nimble footwork and precise kicks. They both had power and capability to change it up, though. Cyborg closed and managed to get into Issei's guard, but he was ready for him and grabbed his arms and rotated his hips to perform a modified judo throw over his shoulders. Unfortunately, the move barely phased Cyborg, as he landed on his feet and shot back towards Issei. As he got closer, he slid into the crouch and swept his legs in an attempt to bring down Issei, who scouted the move and jumped in the air, which was exactly what Cyborg was aiming for. Issei seemed to realize this was too late, as he left vulnerability in the air. Luckily, he was able to sense the attack coming and quickly put up a cross guard to soften the blow of the kick from Cyborg. Issei, although softened by the blow guarding, was still pushed back. As he flew backward, he showed his dexterity by leaning back completely and using the ground as support to perform a backflip, with his hands planted on the ground for support. As soon as his feet hit the ground, he exploded towards Cyborg, leaving the ground cratered where his feet were, and motioned a right hook. Cyborg put up his guard, but realized the mistake as it went was a feint, and Issei instead it sent a kick to Cyborg's thigh, which made him double over a bit, before using his momentum to follow through with an uppercut to Issei's chin, which left him seeing stars for a few seconds before he used the backward motion to propel himself forward and headbutted Cyborg as dolls sounded repriated throughout the arena from the impact. They both took the time to catch their breath and collect themselves before bursting towards the other, as their fists crossed each other and impacted the other's face in cross counter that they held before backing off to regain their bearings and take the stock of the situation. As they took their time, the commentators sprang into action. Amazing, folks. What an expedition of pure physical combat by both young men. They evenly exchange powerful attacks and they barely look out of breath. If anything, they look ready to go for more, announced the Nod. Indeed, it was quite the demonstration of hand-to-hand combat. I can feel the intensity of these blows from all the way here in the commentary box. What's also interesting to note is that Issei has yet to bring out his sacred gear, stated Azazel, surprising, as many they were so caught up in the battle, but they didn't even notice that point. Back on the field, both fighters measured the other up. It seems you've drastically improved since we traded blows a few months ago. Seeing you match my punches really gets my blood pumping. I haven't been in a good fight in a while, said Cyborg. The force of Issei's attack really caught him off guard. He didn't expect the opponent to match him head on without his balance breaker. Maybe he was falling into the unsavory habits of his race. Herbus. I've been working hard to reach this level. I've broken and repaired my body numerous times to be able to attain this strength. I'm sure you, better than anyone else, understands what that means, stated Issei, as he spoke for the first time in this match. His deep voice had women swooning in the audience. Not that he paid attention for once, as he was completely focused on the match. Cyborg responded with a grin that filled his battle lust. You truly are a worthy opponent. Here I come, stated Cyborg as he crossed his arms in front of him. Symbols appear on all four limbs. His weights, realized Issei. He must have reapplied it after his previous fight against Kiba. Zenobia and Ross Visai wondered why he wasn't wearing his toki anymore, deduced Issei. Just as he predicted, faint light was emitted from Cyborg's limb before the symbols disappeared. The next moment, the force of release of power blew away his immediate surroundings as the wind picked up around him, along with a shallow crater being formed beneath his feet. As a white glow encompassed Cyborg and comforted to his body almost like a second skin, his toki was finally in place. Issei had to say he was seriously impressed. Cyborg's toki was leagues ahead of Konoko's in terms of power and intensity. "Truly, this devil is an intriguing one," stated Drake. "It's rare for you to dish out such praise, Drake, especially to a devil." "It is that time of month for you?" questioned Issei cheekily. He didn't speak out loud as he didn't want people thinking he was crazy and talking to himself. "You disrespectful brat. As I was saying, for a devil to awaken Toki is unheard of. He must have pursued power, and his body answered him by using his base of life itself as power and wrapping around his body. He must have quite the vitality and life force for it to become visible like this. What is means that you can't fool around anymore. Like you have been. Take him seriously," advised Drake. Issei nodded his head and knew he could not play around anymore. Cyborg is the real deal, and it would be disrespectful if he held back any longer. He focused himself and sharpened his senses. His hands were slowly being coated in Binoshoki Haki, turning them a shiny black boot. Due to his gloves, nobody noticed anything different. "Here I come, Issei Hyoudou," shouted Cyborg as he shot at Issei with unimaginable speed, barreled into him. They exchanged a flurry of blows, with Cyborg getting quite a few past Issei's guard, getting him to grimace slightly from the thunderous impact of the blows. Punches, kicks, and headbutts and throws were all on the menu, as both men literally used their bodies as weapons to bring harm to one another. Due to the boost from the Toki, Cyborg had a slight advantage over Issei momentarily, which he took advantage of by raining as many blows upon him as he could. As Issei recovered, he decided it was time to take it to the next level. His body became coated by red aura, slowly concealed into both of his arms, before they flashed, leaving his arms on display. On both arms were red leather-like gauntlets that reached all the way to his elbows. They were entirely red with flame, like patterns on the wrist guard. On the back side of his palms was green gem with a symbol of a red dragon emperor in the middle. Basically, it's like Sun's Volleyball's gear minus from Kimetsu Hitman Reborn. This was Issei's boosted gear. He customized it to suit his taste. It was a lot easier to wield now, and not as clunkily. Plus, he wielded it on both arms. Boost! What the fuck is that? Why does the boosted gear look like that? Did that crazy bastard somehow after a fucking Longinus and create a subspecies? Oh, Issei, you better stop by the Gregor when this is over. I'd love to I need to give you a checkup to ensure you're fine, stated Azazel, as he gave 2 thumbs up, trying to look as innocent as possible, which is hard when you look like seriously sketchy motherfucker. Issei's sweat dropped at that response. This was why he reluctant to use his sacred gear. He knew that the evil governor would try to rope him into having some experience performed on him. Boost! Explosion! Although he didn't really need the boost, he did so anyway. Just anyway to have a little extra in the tank. Magnificent, applauded Cyborg as he scrutinized Issei's change in sacred gear, wondering if it was only cosmetic. There were new abilities as well. He decided to find out as he charged straight ahead, only to hastily swerve out of his way. "Heiken!" roared Issei. A huge flame fist came barreling in his direction. As he righted himself, he heard his opponent's voice again. "Hotarubi," stated Issei, as he released a multitude of little green lights that resembled fireflies and surrounded Cyborg, who was too late as the next layer attack came. "Hitorama," said Issei as he clicked his fingers, and simultaneously all green fireflies detonated in a huge conflagration. As the flames cleared, Cyborg skidded out of the flames with his clothes size and hair ruffled. Luckily, his toki prevented him from being barbecued. Looking up, he saw Issei speedily close the distance and saw a swing right hook at him, which he had no choice but to take. Spitting out blood, his head snapped to the side from the impact. He kicked out and put some distance between them. before jumping back into his Renage. Issei in a fist fight resulting in a harsh flurry of blows land on the both young men over the next few and had a lot of blood spilling. Cyborg's right eye was almost shut, and he was leaking blood from his forehead and his nose, which also looked to be fractured. Issei spouted a busted lip and coughed up a lot of blood. Luckily, he had his regeneration to take care of the internal damage, but he told Dre to try to prevent it from healing him externally for now, as he didn't want to tip anyone off yet on his godly regeneration. There were probably enemies watching this after all. The exchange of blows continued before a stalemate occurred, bringing up both of his arms. Issei caught Cyborg's hands as they were both locked on a frontal grappling match. They both exerted their strength as they tried to output the power of one another. It was a stalemate. That is until Issei threw his head back and took a deep breath before facing forward again and exhaling a small storm of blistering hot flames from his mouth. Luckily, Cyborg, his Toki, once again minimized most of the damage, but he still felt the heat of the attack. His distraction cost him, as Issei struck him with a swift kick to the chin before following it up with one another to the side of the head, followed by an axe kick that left him feeling before he jumped and rotated 360 degrees, performing a helicopter kick to the side of his face that downed Cyborg. As he lay on the ground trying to catch his breath from the brutal blows exchanged, he saw a flicker at the corner of his eye. Issei jumped inhumanly high into the air just above Cyborg. "Busoku Kokai!" shouted Issei, as the entirety of his left arm, including his boosted gear, took a black metallic shine, which he fully cocked back as he descended to the ground at some point where Cyborg's head lay. You didn't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out what was going to happen next. Luckily for Cyborg, he had enough wherewithal to extend his wings at the last moment and accelerate the hell out of there as Issei brought his fist down where Cyborg's head used to be. "Extreme Quake!" roared Issei as his fist connected with the ground, sending shockwaves through the surface before the ground created a deeply huge chunks of rock, dirt flying through the air as the ground was completely obliterated. Cyborg, from this position in the air, had a bed of sweat roll down his face as he witnessed the wanton destruction caused by a single punch. He wondered if this is what people felt like when they faced him. "Holy shit!" shouted the commentator Nod, as he quite eloquently expressed the sentiments of probably all of the people currently in the stadium who were trying to pick their jaws up from the floor from witnessing the ridiculous display of strength. "Ha! You truly are something else. I haven't been pushed like this since my childhood. Truly, I'm jealous. I can see now why Rias prizes was as far as Cyborg got before Issei cut him off." Whoa, stop right there. Right now, this isn't about Rias or the House of Biel or anyone else. This is about you and me. Right now, we are just two warriors on the field of battle. Nothing else should matter. Yet I can still feel you holding back a great deal. You haven't even used that weapon round up your right wrist. Oh, don't look so shocked. I have a sentient sacred gear, you know. He sensed it the moment I stepped onto the field. So the question remains, what are you afraid of? Why are you still holding back? Do you not acknowledge me as your opponent? Are you afraid what those lazy fat-ass High Council of Devils will think when you reveal it? Or you were more concerned that limp-dicked fossil with a severe case of erectile dysfunction going through a middle-age crisis that he likes to cover it up by flexing his political muscle and threatening and bending people to his whims to cover up his opponents. Zekrom Biel, stated Issei checkily. The silence that permitted the stadium was painfully deafening. The spectators couldn't believe what he just said about the most politically powerful and probably the oldest devil alive at the moment, the original Great King himself and creator of the power destruction. Rias' eyes had widened to comical portions as she couldn't believe what her Pana just said. He could get himself executed for saying such things. She was seriously stressing out right now. She needed to get her Oni-sama and make sure nothing happened to Issei. Similar reactions were experienced across the stadium. Some were flabbergasted, some were afraid of him. The higher up on the council were absolutely livid. They were almost fronting up the mouth by the disrespect shown to them by the filthy low-class devil. Azazel and Sir Zex, though, were doing their best not to fall off their seats, and with rambunctious laughter, they'd expect nothing less from their favorite dragon. For him to have the balls to say it, for him to have the balls to say that on a live broadcast that was being sent all throughout the underworld, truly, there was never a dull moment with him around. Dolliver Biel, for his part, just smirked to himself and suddenly decided to pay closer attention to this interesting young man. Seraphol just giggled mischievously at Issei. She's been wanting to say that for years. Sekiru-chan really was a funny guy, not to mention a total hottie now. A sudden gleam entered her eyes as she licked her lips in a seductive manner. Issei, on the field, suddenly felt a chill go down his spine. Grafia raised an elegant eyebrow at the young man, which was the most expression you would get from the ultimate queen. If you look closely enough, though, you would see the corners of her lids twitch upward significantly. Sona sat dumbfounded. Her hair was comically disheveled, as her glasses were barely hanging onto her face, as she took in what Issei Hyoudou just said. For him to have the audacity to insult and demean one of the most powerful devils to ever live, and in front of so many people, he certainly had a death wish. It was the only explanation. A small, treacherous part of her mind did the little whoop of joy and agreement as Zircon Biel and his frantic supporters were the main obstacles standing in the way of accomplishing her dream. She could just picture her sister giggling mischievously as what occurred, which caused her sweat to drop. Ravel, for her part, just giggled into the back of her hand. She would expect nothing less from Issei-sama, who spoke his mind without care for consequences and said things as they were. She wasn't afraid for him, as she had complete faith in him that he knew what he was doing. And in front of that, any of those stuffy old fossils dare to think they have the right to lay their disgusting hands on their future master, they would have to get through her first, which won't end well for them, or their future mental and physical health at all, thought Ravel, with a sadistic gleam in her eyes, which promised unimaginable pain to those she considered enemies that freaked out those sitting around her. Back on the field, Cyberorg's eyes were comically bulging out of its sockets, and his jaw was trying to have an intimate encounter with the ground. His mind couldn't process the insanity that was taking place right now. Sure, he had no love for his grandfather. That man was responsible for the treatment of him and his mother that led to all problems in their lives, but to hear someone have the nerve to call him out was unimaginable. He felt a little emboldened by the courage shown by Issei. He's lived in the shadow of the Biel house for so long, shedding blood, sweat, and tears to reach this point, but hearing the words of his opponent sparked something in him. He was also a bit unnerved that his secret weapon was discovered so easily. I can see the look of shock concern on your face. You don't need to worry. Although it's highly appreciated, I'm not afraid of those idiots. If anything, it's the other way around. They're afraid of me, spoke Issei with a smirk. Seeing the look of confusion on the face of his opponents, he decided to elaborate. Do you still know why I'm a low-class devil in rank? I can see you wondering where this is going, so let me spell it out for you. I've been a devil for about 7 months, and in that time I have defeated high-class devils in one-on-one combat, even though he underestimated me, and overcame the vaunted immortality of Phoenix Clan. I have achieved this in less than 3 weeks of being a devil. I fought and held back Kokaville, a survivor of the Great War. I fought the current White Dragon Emperor, Vali Lucifer, said to be the strongest host ever, to a stalemate, and forced him to retreat at the peace conference. I achieved Balance Breaker in less than a month, and went to defeat the SS-ranked Ultimate Stray Devil Kuroka. I also fought and defeated the traitor Theodora Ashtaroth, and the leader of the old malfaction, Shalba Beelzebub. A few weeks later, with the aid of Sanji Gresharu, I defeated the Norse god Loki. And just a few months ago, I fought the leader of the hero faction and the possessor of the true Longinus, Ko in Kyoto, and forced him to retreat with his tail between his legs while destroying one of his eyes. I know, it sounds like I'm bragging, but there is a point to all this, so I'll ask you again, Sarorgiel. Do you know why I'm still a low-class devil, when any one of those achievements is enough to earn any devil a promotion test? Going by simple logic, I should be an ultimate class devil right now. Do you know why I'm not? Questioned Issei, with knowing a smirk on his face. He was really going to enjoy this. Saruorg, try as he might, couldn't wrap his head around the argument. He knew what Issei was saying. If any of his Parage achieved that, they would get automatic promotion. He was brought back by the answer provided by his opponent, an answer he didn't think he would reach. Fear. The answer is simple, Saruorg. It's fear. They are afraid of me and what I represent. I'm a commoner in the human world. My parents are average, working-class citizens with no special attributes. I'm essentially a nobody. But here I am, standing across the heir to the powerful house of Biel, trading blows evenly. I represent faith of the simple man and woman who have so long been ignored. I represent the hope of the reincarnated devils who are treated as second-class citizens. They see me rising to the top, and it gives them the courage to challenge to do so, to do the same, and hope that their children can have a happy future. Look at those kids sitting in my stand over there. They believe in me. They believe that I will win. They are rooting for me. This, Saruorg, is what they fear. If they promote me, it will show that anything is possible for those of lower rank than my popularity throughout the underworld will carry the message through, stated Issei passionately. The people in the stands all cheered loudly at his words. Showing the support behind his message, his words reprimanded deeply with them. For the people on his side who were more politically inclined, like Serzex, Azazel, Grafia, and Seraphal, they realized what he really did here, and they couldn't help but tip their hats at the cunning plan he cooked up. By publicly calling out the council on the issues that he did and exposed their unfair treatment of him, he aligned himself with the average devil citizens, the commoners, who feel similarly aggravated, then fashioned himself as the champion of the common man, and now without a doubt gathered their support, which is immense, as they have a large majority of the population, but don't have much say due to the hierarchy of the devil society. But now they had a voice, a powerful and influential devil who wasn't afraid to speak his mind and say it like it is. As it stands, his statements today has the effect of making one of two things happen. Number one, the High Council agrees to his promotion, which elevates his status, something they were trying to prevent, and validate his message that anything is possible with hard work and determination, which will spur on the similar class, who will look as him as an example. This will also boost his support, as seeing him succeed will give him a great following from the people he represents and give him measure of political power due to the sway he holds over the majority population. Or number two is that they continue to deny his promotion, which will do nothing but validate his claims and show everyone that he was right and the council is indeed afraid of him, turning him into a matry to the people who seem being wrong for no apparent reason. Either way, it's a win-win situation for Issei regardless of the outcome. The High Council don't have much of a choice regardless of what they decide to do. They will lose. It's only a matter of the least damaging choice, as they will take a hit to their reputation regardless of what happens. They have works hard to minimize the damage. They will have to work hard to minimize this damage. Those same four previously mentioned were seriously impressed. It was such a simple and straightforward maneuver that seemed ridiculous and suicidal on the surface, but at one fell swoop he established the enormous base of support and positioned himself to be a big player in the future. That's why I'm here today, Saruorg. I'm fighting for those kids who don't have a voice. I'm fighting for those people who can't fight for themselves. The question is, what are you fighting for? I could feel turmoil within you as we exchanged fists. You need to put it out your mind, though. You need to put it out of your mind, though. This isn't about a Zircum Biel or Serzex Lucifer. I don't give a flying fuck what either of them do. This is about you and me fighting with everything on the line. I acknowledge you as someone worthy as my opponent. We are similar in the way we came about. We are both called creatures. We are both called failures, who were never amount to anything, yet we built our bodies, the foundation of our strength, to the point where those same naysayers could never hope to stand against us. We were given nothing, yet we took everything. Yet I can still see you hesitating. Do you not have someone important you are fighting for? Would she not want you to see full display of your magnificent power on display with the same body she gifted you? You need to forget about those idiot politicians, say, and do what you've always done and speak with your fist. You don't need the power of destruction. Your body is destruction personified. While hope for a power that can never hope to match your fist, I acknowledge you as the true great king. So show me what you've got. Show me your resolve. This is the fight that these people came to see. The Great King versus the Red Dragon Emperor. This is about to be Sire Org-Biel versus Issei Hyoudou. Stop caring about the consequences and let's tear this place down, shouted Issei to the roaring and thunderous cheers of the spectators. Sire Org, for his part, felt as though this huge burden was lifted off his shoulders. His opponent, no, Issei Hyoudou was right. He made it this far by obliterating any obstacles that stood in his way without fear of anything. The thought of his beloved mother and the sacrifices she made for him echoed through his mind. His eyes became a little misty as he thought of her and decided that she would want him to live his life freely and not be bogged down by silly politics. If he loses support today, then he will just build it up from the bottom. He felt his resolve harden as he finally felt free of the metaphorical shackles he had placed upon himself. He decided it was time to honor his mother and clan as she came. Issei Hyoudou, your words have resonated with my soul. I feel freer than I've been in a long time. I'll reward you with my full power. Prepare yourself, declared Sire Org. Regulus, are you ready? Questioned Sire in his mind. I'm always prepared to aid you, my master, answered the voice of his sacred gear. Sire Org held up his left arm. His golden bracelet started to shine brightly with a golden light. Most people curiously looked on, wondering what he was doing. Azazel, though, his eyebrows disappeared into his hairline as he resigned to the jewel on his bracelet. Balance break, shouted Sire Org, a dazzling light that spread around the field. Because of his intense light, most of the audience covered there. When the light vanished, what appeared was Sire Org, wearing a golden-colored plate armor, which had a motif of a lion, the helm of its head and golden hair, which looked like a lion. There was a lion-like face on its chest, and eyes glowed as if it was its own consciousness. The consusive force and the release of power destroyed in the ground around him. The balance breaker of Regulus Nima, the Regulus Ray Leather Lex. Issei Hyoudou, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for making me serious. That's why I reward you with my fist. Come at me with what you've got. Sire Org, who was walking towards Issei step by step, said that aloud. There was an overwhelming presence surrounding him along with his armor covered in toki. In the commentator box, Azazel was frothing out the mouth, seeing a Longinus-class sacred gear that was missing for years. He had many questions that he needed to be answered. He didn't doubt that thing. We're going to get prickly for the House of Biel for hiding a Longinus sacred gear from the leaders, especially with a peace treaty in place. Seeing the power rolling off Sire Org, Issei laughed happily to himself. Truly, he was becoming a battle freak. He needed to watch some porn when he got back home to fill up on the Iro power before he becomes a one-track-minded bastard like Folly. Opie was better than fighting any day of the week. Marvelous. You really are the real deal, Sire Org. You have my respect. Let me show you, the only way I know how. I honestly wasn't planning on you as my balance breaker in this fight, but now it seems like I don't have much of a choice. I told myself I'd fight only those worthy of its power. You will be the first to experience my new balance breaker. Hold on to your hat, stated Issei as he leaped straight into the air. As he reached the highest point he could, he spread his arms and shouted, Balance break! Welt's Dragon, Balance Breaker! Rang out the voice of Drake in response. An oppressive force weighed down on all those present. In blinding red light that encompassed the arena, some of more vulnerable members of the audience were finding it difficult to simply breathing. As the pressure appeared, it was lifted as all the red light that was released and concealed into a single point, where Issei was in the air, forming a large spinning ball of red energy that encompassed him. The energy kept churning. Suddenly something cut in half before expelling it to reveal the sight of lay within. It was truly awe-inspiring, which was the most audience was feeling. The gleaming red armor of the Red Dragon Emperor was on full display for all to see. But it wasn't the regular armor they were accustomed to seeing. This one looked a lot more streamlined and offered more mobility. It was almost more aesthetically pleasing. I don't think I'll be able to fully describe. It made for an intimidating sight, especially at the height he was at his dragon wings were fully on display. Once, again, Azazel was practically salivating at the sight of what he amused to be a subspecies balance breaker. He seriously needed to get this boy in the lab. The Opie Dragon fans were going nuts with cheers seeing their hero in his armor. It was different than one another they were used to seeing on TV, but it looked way cooler. Ravel was leading them in their cheers as she smiled beautifully at the sight of her all decked out in his armor. "Let's do this," Cyber Org roared Issei as the two of them charged at each other. And that is where we're going to stop for now. Thank you so much for the support. Okay, once again, all the movies will come out hopefully soon. I apologize. Your boy's working, okay? I'm doing track, I'm doing school. You know the vibes, okay? So just bear with me. I don't plan on stopping ever, okay? A lot of you people, I thank you for a lot of you people just want to hear my voice, which is truly I'm thankful for, to have an audience that appreciates my voice so much. It's actually like a huge compliment because to me, it's just an average voice. So yeah, thank you so much, man. Thank you so much for the support. I'm practicing the voices and things like that because it's always fun for me to voice act the characters like Drake, saying balance breakers and all these things. Like I adore it. So yeah, I'm also practicing like voices with like Goku, Vegeta, Beerus, Whis, people of those sorts, more as if like that, so I can get the hang of things before I actually start doing the series on Dragon Ball. So yeah, thank you so much for the support, man. What if Issei had Ultra Instinct? I know a lot of people have been wondering about that. Don't worry, it'll come soon enough. I apologize for the long-awaited wait, but your boy is still not finished with the story, so don't plan on it coming out soon. It'll probably take another, I don't know, I'm not even going to give you an estimate, but it'll take a while. But the movie's going to be a banger, so you guys are really going to like the story. And I love Ultra Instinct as a concept, so it's going to be cool just seeing for it. Anyway, thank you so much to all my balance breakers, limit breakers, and people of those sorts. If you guys are still in the premiere as of right now, please hit the like button. And if you want to be a member, once again, it's the first link down in the description below, and I'll also link it in the premiere. Thank you so much for the support, guys. Without further ado, Spartanic Arts DxD out.